A Giez manuscript sits in a vault at the Bodleian Library in Oxford. The catalogue reference is manuscript Bruce 74. The Book of Enoch was removed from the biblical canon at the Council of Laodicea in 364 CE. Church leaders called it dangerous and unsuitable. For 17 centuries, it disappeared almost entirely from Western Christianity. When the Dead Sea Scrolls surfaced at Qumran in 1947, 11 copies of Enoch came out of the ground with them, more copies than most books that remained in the Old Testament. Among those copies, fragments 4Q206 and 4Q212 from Cave 4 preserve sections of chapters 17 through 19 in Aramaic dated by paleography to before the Common Era. The Greek fragments of the Codex Panapolitanus, recovered from Akhmim in Egypt in the 1880s, preserve the same chapters in a third language and manuscript tradition. 3 separate manuscript traditions. 3 separate languages. 3 separate centuries of scribes who never met each other. Same content. Chapters 17 through 19 describe a prison at the ends of the earth, a place of cold beyond anything in the inhabited world, sealed beneath stone, guarded by an angel named Uriel. Every geographic marker in the passage has been proposed by some researchers to point to one specific location on a modern map, East Antarctica. This documentary examines what the text actually says, what Antarctic geophysics has documented in the relevant region, where genuine correspondence exists between ancient description and modern science, and where the proposed connection goes significantly beyond what either the text or the science can independently support. Before we go further, subscribe now if this kind of textual and historical exploration is what you are here for. Every week, this channel examines ancient texts, scholarly debates, and interpretive questions at the edges of mainstream scholarship. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The Manuscript Record. What is verified? Michael Knibb, whose 1978 Oxford translation remains the standard English academic reference, treats chapters 17 through 19 as belonging to what he identifies in his published work as the oldest stratum of the Enochic literature, composed before Christianity existed, not later theological embellishment. Ephraim Isaac's 1983 translation directly from the Giez, produced for the Old Testament Pseudepigrapha series, restored more of the direct geographical rendering than R.H. Charles's 1906 edition, which Enoch scholars have noted treated many of the most specific geographical passages as symbolic or textually corrupted. This difference between editions is documented in the scholarly literature. The Bodleian holds 3 of the Giez manuscripts James Bruce carried out of Ethiopia in 1773. A 4th Giez copy sits in the Vatican Apostolic Library, Catalogue Ethiopic 71, whose provenance was not fully reconstructed until Gabriele Boccaccini published his findings in 2018. These are real, documented holdings in real institutions. Joseph Milik was the Polish scholar assigned to the Aramaic Enoch material from Qumran. He published his major work on the Aramaic Enoch fragments in 1976. His death in 2006 left some unpublished notes in his possession. Florentino Garcia Martinez reviewed some of this material afterward. What Milik personally concluded about the geographical passages is not fully known from the published record, a genuine gap in the scholarly documentation of this material. What the text actually says. The passage carries Enoch westward, then southward, then further past every inhabited region to what the text calls the ends of the earth. He is shown mountains of stone, storehouses of frost and snow, and a great cold that the text says has no comparison in the inhabited world. He is then brought to an abyss. In Isaac's direct Giez rendering, a place with no firmament above, no earth beneath, no water on it, no birds. 7 stars are bound there like burning mountains. The angel Uriel tells Enoch, "This is a prison for the stars who transgressed at the beginning of their rising. They are bound for 10,000 years until the time of their guilt is consummated." Uriel is identified in chapter 20 as set over the world and over Tartarus, not over a concept, but over a place. Knibb's scholarly commentary reads this as ancient Jewish cosmological speculation about the underworld, a well-documented literary genre in Second Temple Jewish literature that uses geographical language to give apocalyptic visions a sense of physical concreteness. This is the mainstream scholarly position. The text's unusual specificity within that genre is also acknowledged within mainstream Enoch scholarship, the 4 proposed geographic markers. What the science actually shows, some alternative researchers have proposed 4 correspondences between the Enoch passage and Antarctic geophysics. Here is each one stated accurately, with the science presented correctly and the connection to the ancient text clearly identified as a proposed interpretive frame, not a scientific finding. First, direction. Enoch is carried westward, then southward to the ends of the earth. Some researchers propose this directional language points to Antarctica as the geographic South Pole. Mainstream Enoch scholarship reads the ends of the Earth as an ancient cosmological designation rather than a modern GPS coordinate. Both readings are noted. Second, storehouses of cold and the subglacial lakes. Chapter 60 describes storehouses of snow and frost with sealed chambers. Lake Vostok beneath East Antarctica is a real, extensively documented subglacial lake, approximately the size of Lake Ontario, sealed under between 3,700 and 4,200 meters of ice, isolated from the atmosphere for an estimated 15 to 25 million years. This is real geology, documented in peer-reviewed publications. Russian teams reached the lake's ice surface in 2012. The 2013 metagenomic analysis of accretion ice above the lake identified sequences from a large number of organisms whose interpretation remains discussed within microbiology. Some researchers consider contamination from drilling fluid the most likely explanation, while others note the diversity of sequences is unusual for contamination. This scientific debate is real and ongoing. Whether it has any connection to the Book of Enoch's storehouses of cold is a proposed association by alternative researchers, not a finding within either Antarctic geology or Enoch scholarship. Third, mountains of stone. The Gamburtsev subglacial mountains, named for Soviet geophysicist Grigory Gamburtsev, are a real and extensively documented geological feature. They were discovered by Soviet seismic surveys in 1958. The range stretches approximately 1,200 kilometers beneath East Antarctica, with peaks comparable in scale to the European Alps. They are buried under up to 3 kilometers of ice. The Antarctic Gamburtsev Province Project surveyed them from the air with radar, gravity meters, and magnetometers between 2007 and 2009. Robin Bell of Columbia University's Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory made the widely quoted observation that we have samples of the Moon, but none of the Gamburtsevs. No physical rock sample from that range has been retrieved. This is documented. Whether the Gamburtsev Mountains correspond to the 7 mountains Enoch describes near the prison is a proposed alternative research connection, not a conclusion from within either geology or Enoch studies. Fourth, voices from the abyss and the ANITA signals, NASA's Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna. ANITA is a real balloon-borne instrument flown above Antarctic ice to detect high-energy radio pulses. In 2006 and 2014, ANITA recorded anomalous signals that appeared to travel upward through the Earth from beneath the ice at angles, inconsistent with conventional cosmic ray physics. These signals have been cross-checked against other detectors, including IceCube at the South Pole and the Pierre Auger Observatory. The anomalies have been published in physical review letters and remain a subject of active scientific discussion. Mainstream physics has proposed several conventional explanations, including reflected cosmic rays with specific signatures. The ANITA collaboration researchers, including Stephanie Wissel at Pennsylvania State University, have publicly acknowledged the signals remain unexplained within current models. This is a real, documented scientific puzzle. Whether it has any connection to voices coming up from the abyss in the Book of Enoch is a proposed association by alternative researchers with no support from within either high-energy physics or biblical studies. Operation High Jump. What is documented Operation High Jump is a real historical event. Fleet Admiral Chester Nimitz announced it in August 1946. Task Force 68 was assembled with approximately 4,700 personnel, 13 ships, and 25 aircraft. Rear Admiral Richard Byrd led his 4th Antarctic expedition. The stated mission included testing polar military capabilities and photographing the interior. The expedition was terminated approximately 6 to 8 weeks before its planned end, in late February 1947. The official reason given was the early approach of winter, a logistically significant constraint in Antarctic operations where sea ice conditions change rapidly. This is the documented explanation. Byrd made subsequent public statements about global strategic vulnerability in a changed world. Those statements are documented. He did not publicly connect them to any discovery in Antarctica or to any supernatural prison. The Antarctic Treaty, signed December 1st, 1959, prohibiting military activity on the continent, is a real international agreement. The restricted access to the Antarctic interior from that treaty forward is real. The absence of physical rock samples from the Gamburtsev Range is real. What is not documented? Any connection between Operation High Jump's early termination and a discovery of a supernatural prison, sealed chamber, or unusual structure. The early termination is real. The proposed explanation connecting it to the Book of Enoch is an alternative research claim with no documented evidentiary basis. The suppression history. Documented and contextualized the Council of Laodicea's 364 CE exclusion of Enoch is documented. Jerome's treatment of the Enochic material in the Vulgate is documented. Augustine's discussion in the City of God is documented. What is a legitimate but contested interpretive argument rather than established fact? The claim that the exclusion was specifically motivated by Enoch's geographically checkable claims about a physical prison. The canonical process involved many texts and many considerations documented in mainstream early church history. The framing of Enoch's exclusion as targeted suppression of verifiable geographical claims is one proposed explanation. It is not the mainstream historical consensus position. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church's continuous preservation of Enoch is documented. James Bruce's 1773 recovery of 3 Jez manuscripts to Europe is documented. The subsequent history of those manuscripts in Oxford, Paris, and the Vatican is documented and has been studied within mainstream manuscript scholarship. What is established and what is not? What can be independently verified? The Bodleian manuscripts are real and catalogued. The Qumran fragments 4Q206 and 4Q212 are real and dated. Lake Vostok is real, documented, and scientifically significant. The Gamburtsev subglacial mountains are real and documented in peer-reviewed geology. The Anita anomalous signals are real and published in peer-reviewed physics. Operation High Jump is documented history. The Antarctic Treaty is real. No physical rock sample from the Gamburtsev Range has been retrieved. What has not been independently verified? Any direct connection between Enoch's prison description and any Antarctic geological or physical feature. The proposed correspondence between the 4 geographic markers and Antarctic locations is an alternative research interpretation, not a finding from within Enoch scholarship, Antarctic geology, or high-energy physics. The claim that Operation High Jump was terminated due to a discovery related to Enoch's prison has no documented evidentiary basis. What mainstream scholarship establishes, chapters 17 through 19 are among the oldest strata of Enochic literature, preserved across 3 manuscript traditions with unusual geographic specificity within their genre. They were excluded from the Western Christian canon as part of a broader 4th century canonical process. The Antarctic geological features discussed are real and significant within their own scientific fields. No peer-reviewed publication in any field has proposed a connection between the Book of Enoch and Antarctic geophysics. What is worth holding on to the Book of Enoch is a genuine, extensively preserved ancient text with a complex and documented manuscript history. Its descriptions of a cosmological prison at the ends of the earth are unusually specific within the genre of ancient Jewish apocalyptic literature, and that specificity has been acknowledged by Mainz Ense Zug Ense. The Antarctic geological features discussed. Lake Vostok, the Gamburtsev Mountains, the Anita signals are each genuinely significant scientific subjects within their own fields, worth understanding accurately. Whether those 2 genuinely remarkable things point toward each other or simply present the human pattern-finding mind with an opportunity it finds difficult to resist. That is a question the existing evidence does not settle. The text says what it says. The mountains are where they are. The signals are what they are. And the question of whether they are connected remains genuinely and honestly open.